It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us now is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Speaker Johnson, it's wonderful to have you back here on the show. How concerned are you about, the integrity of elections and the voting systems? And now there's all these different stories of the ballots and so forth. People need to have confidence in this election.
Well, it's good to be with you all. We are concerned. We have to be. We've been cautiously optimistic. I have had some confidence that a lot of the hijinks and irregularities and the crazy things that happened in the last presidential cycle in 2020 would not be repeated again because that was such a disaster. All of the Republican-led state legislatures certainly went to work right after that, early 2021. They cleaned up their systems and they made sure that none of that would happen again. We've also had some confidence that I think Michael Whatley at the RNC at the national level has done a really good job of focusing like a laser on the mission of the RNC with two things: get out the vote and election integrity. So we have armies of lawyers in most of the states ready and equipped. Some of them are already active, filing injunctions and going to district courts to clean up mess. And we've got a lot of precinct captains and poll watchers and a lot of eyes on this. But still, there is some element of fraud in every single election. That's just a reality of life. We just hope that it's limited in its scope this time and that we can make it too big to rig. I think we have a chance to do that, but we've got to watch this closely.
Speaker Johnson, I spoke to Mark Molinaro before, and I had one basic question to him. Do your people in the Hudson Valley know that if they vote for you, you're going to have closed borders, and if they vote for your opponent, you're going to get more migrants in the Hudson Valley? What other subject can you say?
Well, you're right, John. That's the biggest issue around the country. It's the border and the cost of living. It's not even close. Those are the two big things that everybody's worried about. And certainly in New York, the open border has led to an absolute catastrophe for your state, and every state's a border state, as we know. Mark Molinaro is a champion of border security, and to your point, you're exactly right. He will help us secure that border on day one. I'm convinced, I still believe, that President Trump can win the White House, we take back the Senate, and we keep and grow our House majority. If we do that, we will solve this problem, bar none. But you're right. If Mark doesn't prevail, the road to the majority runs through New York. And that's not a bumper sticker slogan. That is the truth of the matter. And that's why I've spent so much time myself in New York. I'm in New York today, going up and down the Hudson Valley with our candidates, because if Mark doesn't get reelected, then we could lose the majority. You have Democrats in charge of even one chamber, and you don't get that border sealed because you need legislation to do it. President Trump will issue an executive order, but you'll have to have legislation to get it done, and we have to have the majority to do that. That's just reality.
Speaker Johnson, the big deal is we talked about more migrants in New York City. Well, how about, do you want to pay $2 a gallon for gasoline, or do you want to pay $5 a gallon for gasoline? And that's the difference. That's the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And you want to pay more, 30-40% for your food, or do you want to go back down again?
That's exactly right. We've been saying, I've been crisscrossing the country. I've led campaign events now as of today in 249 cities across 40 states, right? And everywhere we go, we just talk about the reality. The thing about this race this time is this is record over rhetoric. Ignore what the candidates are saying. Look at what they've actually done. We had a Trump administration. Everybody knows that we were doing better under the Trump administration in every measurable category. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world because our policies brought about those developments. On the other hand, you've had a Harris-Biden administration. You know what you're going to get. You know what you'll get with Democrats in charge. And if you allow Chuck Schumer to keep control of the Senate, and you allow Democrats to control the House, or heaven forbid, the White House, we're not going to solve these problems. They are going to get worse because Kamala Harris is going to double down, and the Democrats in Congress will double down on the policies that got us in the mess we're in. This is a decision for you and your family, your liberty, your opportunities, your security, and your ability to put gasoline in your cars and groceries on the table. This is real.
Ed Cox, chairman of
the Speaker,
GOP.
Looking around the world, there's the biggest war going on in Europe since World War II. The Middle East is aflame. How much concern do the voters, as you've gone around the country, have about those issues?
Yeah, it's a major concern. It's right beneath their immediate cost of living of buying groceries and keeping the lights on, and the open border that's causing chaos on the streets of every city in America now. They're worried about that instability on the world stage in the most dangerous moment we've been in since World War II. The policies and the weakness of Biden and Harris got us into that situation. As we speak right now, North Koreans are right on the border of Ukraine, teaming up with the Russians to go fight the Ukrainians, right? None of this stuff would have happened, and it would stop immediately if President Trump was back in the White House, because they respect and fear him. They do not fear Joe Biden, and the only person on the planet they fear less than Joe Biden is Kamala Harris. Imagine it. When I'm in these big crowds all around the country, I say, I just wanted you to answer one question to yourself quietly. It's a rhetorical question. Ask yourself, before you go in that ballot box, are you comfortable with Kamala Harris being the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces at the most dangerous moment since World War II? No one can answer that question affirmatively. No one. And that's the question that needs to be asked.
And the one thing Americans tend to vote what's going on at home more so than what's going on overseas, unless they really have, a brain. I mean, they worry about people that live in small towns, USA. They worry about paying their rent. They worry about buying their food at the right price, especially if they're on fixed incomes.
Well, that's right. And they're going to vote their pocketbook, the kitchen table issues, as we say in politics. And it is real right now. I mean, people are feeling the pain, and they understand that the trajectory that we are on is not sustainable. We cannot survive 4 more years of Kamala Harris's economic policies. She can't even answer a question, a basic, simple question about what she would do to bring down the cost of living, because she has no plan to do that. She will continue and double down on the policies that got us in this mess. That's the decision. So, again, record over rhetoric. This is policy over personality. You've got to do what's right for you and your family. And this is not even close. This is an easy decision.
And everybody, we are talking to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, also, I want to get a sense from where the investigation is. I know it's something you're interested in. We've been following it a lot here on Katz and Cosby on Act Blue, and this is the foreign money potentially going into Democrats. Kamala Harris supposedly raised $1 billion, but there's a lot of questions about maybe illegal funds going in. Where is that? Can you fill us in? Because that's a big concern, too.
Yes, it is. It's a major concern. We're getting outspent almost 3-1 in, for example, our closest New York races for the House. And, we've set fundraising records. I broke the all-time fundraising record for the third quarter of this year for a speaker and a speaker super PAC. But we can't compete with a fraudulent operation. And we believe that Act Blue, it's being alleged that Act Blue is now a money laundering scheme. And now the evidence is being developed. They raised $2.2 billion for Democratic candidates last cycle. And the question is, how much of that was funded legally? We have the House Committee on Administration is investigating their practices right now. They issued subpoenas this week because we believe that online fundraising juggernaut that the Democrats have, they don't have donor verification policies. I think that's probably intentional. And that we have potentially foreign actors, maybe from Iran, Russia, Venezuela, China, that are sending money in, and it's being laundered through Act Blue, through their donor website. What they're doing, basically, the allegation is they're taking these big gifts from foreign nationals, and they're breaking it up into smaller donation amounts, and they're sending it through the system as if American citizens are doing that, and they're not. And I'm really grateful for the great work that's been done, the extraordinary website. I'm sure you all have shared it, but check mydonation.org. Everybody can go. Do an advanced search, type in your name and address, check mydonation.org, and see if you yourself are an Act Blue donor and didn't even know it. I'm guessing some of your listeners will be surprised at what they find there.
Yeah, and that's so important. And I lost my train of thought, Rita. What were you saying?
We were talking about the Act Blue. I want to also, Mr. Speaker, also have you talk about some of the rhetoric that's been coming out there,
I know what
too.
I wanted to say.
Oh, you did?
Mr. Speaker,
all right.
What I think we have to do, especially for voter fraud, it's got to be mandatory jail time because if you charge them $10,000 fine, some rich guy from their foreign money group will pay the fine. But it's got to be mandatory jail time. That way, it can't be like France where you pay somebody else to serve your sentence.
Yeah, they get bailed out or they get helped out.
Well, sure. I mean, you're absolutely right. This is a serious crime. I mean, it goes to the integrity of our elections themselves, and there's nothing more important, than maintaining free and fair elections in a constitutional republic. Our system depends upon that, and this goes right to the heart of the integrity of that system. So it is very serious, and there should be jail time. And I do believe that people are going to go to jail at the end of this. The problem is, it takes a while to adjudicate all of that. These investigations have to be completed. The lawsuits are already being filed, but the criminal aspect of it will take a while. And in the meantime, in the next 5 days, we have to contend with their avalanche of cash. I think they made a decision, my friends, that they decided that the risk of having to send some fall guys to jail would be outweighed by the benefit of them trying to steal an election, win an election this way. With fraudulent donation scheme, and they figured we'd sort that out later. So who knows?
I agree 100%.
I hope it's too big to rig.
Speaker Johnson, thank you for everything you do and the amount of hard work you do, and we'll talk to you again real soon. We'll talk to you on election night.
Yes, indeed. Great to talk to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.